Thank you, everyone, for joining me as we navigate the twists and turns of the Lending Labyrinth, featuring expert interviews, industry trends, and real life stories that shed light on all aspects mortgage lending and real estate. Together, let's explore the world of lending and empower ourselves with the knowledge needed to make informed financial decisions. Lynn, you're back.
Hey.
Welcome to the Lending Labyrinth. It's been a while.
It has.
We had a great guest last week. John Valenzuela was on.
He's such a sweet guy. I love him.
He's really good at what he does.
He's
very
extremely
funny.
good.
I don't know if you monitor his Facebook, but he does a nightly dad joke.
Insomnia dad jokes.
Insomnia dad joke. Yeah, that's exactly right. I don't know if these are just keeping him up, but and he needs to get them out. But I think the good thing is that he's getting them out, and so he's had a couple of doozies on there.
Yeah.
So, welcome back.
Thank you.
So you've been gone I think we've both been gone for a minute, and so last week was
Just
our
life.
first, life, definitely life. But we're trying to be more consistent on the things we do, and that's giving you the guys the content out there. And if we said we're going to be here weekly, we are going to be here weekly for you guys. And so,
amen.
We're back. We're back. So the good thing is Lynn's back too. And so, I think you brought a topic to me. I think one topic that we can relate to because we've done this twice. And for those of you who don't know, this is my friend, Mr. Powell, in the background. And so
he's your best friend.
It's Wednesday.
Let me tell you about my best
May 1st.
friend.
May 1st is Fed Announcement Day. And that's what Mr. Powell, this guy here with all the answers, is doing in the background. So before we get into it, the Fed said that they're not raising rates and they're not lowering rates. And I think it's a head scratcher to a lot of people because the reason why they raised the rates to begin with was to prevent inflation, right?
So, yeah, absolutely. But one of the key takeaways that we were kind of talking about earlier is the rates that he's talking about. How does that affect the mortgage rates? Because even though they're unchanged, we actually got a price reduction in the cost of rates earlier today.
So crazy enough, we did get a price reduction, but don't start running to do that anyway. But the biggest thing is a lot of people don't know what it means when he actually gets on this podium and talks like he's doing right now. Look at this guy. Excuse me. So when he's talking about not raising so the biggest thing that you have to pay attention to what he's doing when he says something is when he says, hey, I'm not changing the rates. I'm not going to increase them and I'm not going to decrease them. But they're selling off their financial position with mortgage bond securities. He says that right after he makes this great announcement that he's not going to raise the rates, which is good because we don't want that. He says, but, there's that but. He says we're going to sell our financial position on our mortgage bonds securities, our mortgage-backed securities. So that's the kicker in this whole thing that a lot of people don't know about. If the government is selling their position on these mortgage-backed securities, that's making the price of them go down because there's too much of these MBS stocks on the market because the government's selling. They're selling by the millions. They're not just selling 100 of them. They're selling millions and millions and millions of them. And because there's so much in the market, just like, supply and demand, if there's too much supply, it's not going to cost as much. And so when that stock goes down, the interest rates, oddly enough, go up. Crazy as that sounds. The stock goes down, interest rates go up. So what was happening when rates were 2%, 3%? You remember those days?
Like it was yesterday.
Yeah. When rates were 2 and 3%, the government was buying millions on top of millions on top of millions. They were buying millions every day of these mortgage-backed securities. And that caused the rate to go up because, if you keep, supply and demand, you're buying a lot of something and there's not a lot of it. Well, it just costs more. But the government was buying so much of these things, the stock went up, and which caused mortgage rates to go down. So stock goes up, mortgage rates go down. Stock go down, mortgage rates go up. And so what they're doing is they're trying to higher the interest rate. They're trying to get to a point where you guys as consumers stop buying stuff. But it doesn't mean anything because I think, and this may be a completely other episode of Lending Labyrinth, America's not savers. We're not savers anymore. We're not our parents' generation. We're not taught to save. I think every other commercial on TV is to buy this and buy the latest this and the new iPhone this and buy the new Apple
parents out there.
VR set that I want so bad.
No.
I want it.
No.
But
it's true though. Like we talk about a lot, like when we were kids, what our parents didn't teach us. They didn't teach us a lot about any of that stuff. Like we had to learn the hard way. Kudos to the people that figured it out. But, right. There was a lot of us in our generation that was brought up that way. And we're having to take that conscious effort to make sure that we are teaching our kids more so in regards to savings and investments. I mean, I love that Sophia has her own slime business. But
that's
we also
our daughter, by the way, who has her own slime business. And so if you want some slime,
are you gonna do a plug? She's gonna die.
I know she's gonna have to like pay me for the spot though. I don't know if she can afford it.
But like we even talked to her about like profit and the differences and what what the cost of the inventory is and supply and all of that stuff. So I mean it's and I think that it's a great segue into what we're talking about today on our post of choosing the right neighborhood, being a parent, and finding the right spot. But I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think we didn't. That is the economy today. Everybody's like, buy this, buy that. Don't worry about savings. We've got other ways, and it's the wrong way to do it. Everybody's going to figure it out.
So the biggest thing, like Lynn said, that we want to bring to the table today here in the Lending Labyrinth is location, location, location. So we've purchased 3 homes in our lifetime, hopefully to be no more homes after that. But there were a lot of things we took into consideration before we bought this last house. And I think it was a lot of things we took into consideration that we bought the second house. The first house, I just think we just kind of got it. We really didn't even, we're just happy we're getting a house. But the second house and the third house, I think there were some criteria to be met. And so, of course, we asked ChatGPT, our third host in this Lending Labyrinth, our silent host, what are some of the things that people consider when it comes to buying a home, or when even you consider? And I know one of the things as a parent is now you want to make sure that we're just going to put the biggest one out there, school districts.
Yeah.
It was a big one. I think our first and second home, Cy-Fair ISD, which is the third largest school district in Texas behind HISD and Dallas ISD. Cy-Fair is the third largest. But that was a big factor that we wanted to be part of Cy-Fair. I don't think we want to be part of Cy-Fair. I think we just...
No, we wanted to be in... So let's rewind it a bit, right? We purchased a home when everybody was purchasing homes in 2021, and everyone was just getting outbidded multiple times. I think I got my heart broken a few times. Even being in the industry, it hurt. But when we tried to stay in Cy-Fair, to stay in that school district and see what we could do about keeping our kids in that same kind of environment. Oddly enough, though, we ended up in Tomball ISD, and I haven't had any complaints with Tomball ISD, but you just don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
And I think and it truly just depends. Like, I know there are tons of kids that, are just thriving in Cy-Fair. And their layout with classrooms were a little bit different than Tomball's, but because of how Tomball's layout is with their classrooms being a closed setting, it allowed our kids to kind of function a little bit differently. Because my oldest daughter has ADHD and she sees squirrel. So somebody walking through a classroom to get to another class was kind of always distracting for her. But in a closed setting, it's a little bit more of a controlled environment for her.
So outside of school, what do you think the second criteria for you was?
Outside of school, just what was in our surroundings. So I really liked. I think initially we got a lot of, I don't want to say pushback, but people kind of looked at us crazy because we were going out further into the country, and I do not consider myself a country girl by any means. And it was a little bit further away, but I like Tomball because of just it's not as busy or hustle and bustle as where we were. And I mean, the traffic was better. I mean, we're a little bit farther away, but I don't think that it takes us that long. So, I mean, I guess it's just kind of, your lifestyle. I mean, you've got the heights to where you're in the middle of everything and there is that hustle and bustle. You've got Cypress where it's more of suburban and there's tons of things that are around. So you can still kind of have the best of both worlds of, being on the outskirts, but having the hustle and bustle and all that great stuff. And then you got the people that are a little bit further out and even the outskirts of the outskirts.
But what's go crazy is I can remember we were so for those who don't know, Tomball, Texas is kind of like maybe 30 minutes outside of Houston. Houston is just so vast to begin with. You don't know where Houston stops and Houston begins because it just keeps on it just keeps on building on top of each other. But they're I mean, living in Tomball, we're avid. I went to the University of Houston. I like to go to U of H games and
I love U of H games.
And Houston Texans. We're going to have a good team next year. And so
speaking Greek to me, but okay.
So the biggest thing is sometimes you want to be close to those kind of things. And I remember there was a time we're in the Galleria, which is right smack dab in the middle of Houston, and I'm already thinking towards the future because my mind works real estate all the time, unfortunately. But the crazy thing is, I was like, when the kids move out and
I remember that day that you said that.
When the kids move out, let's move to Inner Loop. Let's move
to
in the middle of Houston.
I looked at you like you were the craziest person
to
in the
be
world.
around everything. No. And I think we're in traffic for like 45 minutes.
No, I think we were in traffic for 25 minutes. And
before I quickly was like, nah, we're good. We're
good.
Stay.
We're not going to do this.
We'll commute to watch the football game.
It was whenever we were just kind of dead still for about 5 minutes. And you're like, no, we're not doing this. And I was like, thank you.
I love traffic, but God, I hate traffic. Oh my God.
I don't love traffic. I actually don't even drive anymore.
Yeah, that is true. So I think we kind of lucked out on that one. But yeah, the crazy thing is that Houston traffic I hear about LA and stuff, and I just got back from LA. I wasn't really scared of LA traffic, but Houston traffic will make you pull on the side of the road driving. And start, get in a fetal position because it's so bad. It's like
Dallas freeways are the only freeways that I know that go north and south at the same time, and I get so confused.
Yeah,
and actually, I have to have a disclaimer whenever people get into my car that I braved my way out of driver's ed, so get in your own apparel. So
that's pretty nuts. So schools location. What do you think the third one is for individuals? They're buying a house. They want to make sure it's what they want, where they want to be. But what do you think that school was one? School was one. Amenities, I guess you're saying, is another one. But what was that third one?
The type of house.
Explain.
So, kind of like what you said. When we had our first house, I think at that point in time we had only Jonathan, and it was a cute home. It was our very first home. Jonathan was still little.
Disclaimer: that house was only $100,000. It was a 4 bedroom, 2 bath, and it was only $114,000
Yeah,
in
114,000.
2006. People,
It was crazy.
it was as much as an Escalade, and it was beautiful. Continue. I'm sorry.
No, but I mean, it was. We actually lucked out. We had some sellers that took some really good care of the property before we had taken it, or took ownership of it. But we didn't have a really big checklist whenever we went and bought our first house. Like honestly, if I would have gone back and talked to us then, I would have said, don't get a house on the main street. Like that was probably a miss on our side. We didn't think about it, but we really didn't have a checklist. But the next house, it was Jonathan, Isabella, and Sophia. And and Angelina. We had Angelina too. So it was 4 kids. So the number of houses. Do you want a townhome? Do you want a single family? Do you want, detached, attached, whatever the case may be, whatever you're trying to. For us, it was, we kind of lucked out. That was what, three upstairs, 2 downstairs, and then like one kind of flex room that was in there, which worked perfectly for when Mimi decided to arrive, and our family was complete. And then when we went to, but that was also, we had that house when COVID hit.
COVID. Dum dum dum.
Dum dum dum.
Let's see if I have a button for COVID.
I think that works perfectly. Maybe that one too. Okay, stop hitting the buttons. But that one, that's it. And what we had, our office was out of our dining room, and we had 2 desks in there, and kids were at school doing TV and Zooms, and which was horrible. How do you get a kindergarten set up on a Zoom meeting?
Right.
But talking over each other, all of that other stuff. I mean, we were pretty. Everybody comments on the fact that we work together and that we see each other day in and day out, but we really saw each other day in and day out there. And we kind of we need an office now. We need a game room now. We need a kind of, this house is a little too small for us. So finding the next house that met all of those needs and what those needs are. That's just the type of house.
Right. So the big thing in COVID, and I think our business, oddly enough, with COVID and the craziest things going on and empty supermarkets and everything that COVID brought,
that was crazy.
It didn't stop America from wanting to buy a house, which was when you look at a home.
But think about it.
There's so many things that you got to go kick the tires, and you open the door and you walk through. And there are people that they want to sell their house. They didn't want people walking through their house.
No, that was the period of, because it was in the very beginning stages, that there was so much paranoia around it that they didn't want people walking through,
right.
that you were doing the Zoom meetings through the open houses
right.
versus, and you had to schedule them individually.
Right.
But I mean, it made sense. I mean, you're saying it's silly, but at the same point in time, I remember Isabella's teacher at the time was like, I'm stuck at home and I can't do anything. I think I want to buy a house with a pool. That's what I always wanted to do. I need to change up. And it's like when you're stuck someplace, you realize like what you weren't settling for or what you were settling for, and what, if you're going to be in this place for such a long period of time, you
exactly.
really want it to fit your needs and wants.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. So we have schools, we have amenities, we have type of house, and I think each time kids always bring a certain type of the house. I think one thing that I was looking for when we moved out to Tomball is community.
Oh yeah. I love our community.
I think that one thing that we kind of got in our community is.
We had a great community even at our last.
We
house.
did. Our last neighborhood. They had 4th of July, and that's exactly what I wanted into the new community. I didn't want to leave that sense of
right.
community where you
that
have
was
your
like
neighbors,
of leaving.
Kids riding their bikes. You see the neighborhood out in the neighborhood. It's one thing for you to drive down a neighborhood and everybody's inside. You don't know who's who, and I think that the good thing about the last community we lived in, you saw that. You see that even in our community now. You see kids fishing. You see kids riding their bikes, and that's what I want my girls doing. I want them out there. And our son, he'd go fishing in that lake all the time, take pictures of the fish he would catch, and that's something I wanted for, because I want them out of the house as much as possible. So yeah, community was a big part of that, and I know a lot of people here when they're thinking about just what kind of. I know we have a buyer right now, and oddly enough, she's coming from New Jersey. And one thing she kept on telling me, she was like, I want a school district, and I want to send my child to a school where ethnicity is not a problem. There's not one. Diversity is a big one. She was like, I don't want one, race outshine the other, because my daughter, she's a mix, and she was really worried about that. And the craziest thing about Houston that a lot of people, if you don't know, now I'm telling you, Houston's a melting pot.
Absolutely.
There's there may be some areas of town that have more community than the next, but I don't think I've ever been in a section in Houston where I was like, well, wait a minute. There's more of this than that. Like, I think every school district does a great job on having just a diverse school district of kids. And I was just trying to divulge that to her. I was like, hey, you don't have to worry about that, because this school, I don't know what school you plan on having her go to. There's going to be all kinds of kids going to the school, just because, like, you have so many people still moving to Houston. Houston is still a destination, even though sales prices and everything have kind of gone up. Houston is still a destination for a lot of families.
Oh, it's definitely growing. I mean, it's continuing to grow. I mean, and it is a diverse demographic. But yeah, and we are growing. Like, it's just, we have people coming from California. We have people coming from Tennessee. We have people coming from New York. We've just seen it, and it hasn't stopped. It really hasn't.
So with that said, there's a lot of people coming here. What would it look like for you to leave?
Oh, don't you dare ask
yes,
loaded
Lynn
questions.
has to leave Houston. Where does Lynn go because of all of these things taken into consideration? Community, school, location, type of house. You have to leave Texas.
You are setting me
Where
up.
are you going? Where?
Okay, question. Are you asking current Lynn, future Lynn, or past Lynn?
I'm asking Lynn has to leave Texas today.
With our kids.
Unfortunately, yes. With the kids. I guess they got to go with us.
You know what? Again, I can't believe I'm saying this, because I just did not grow up thinking I was this kind of person. I did not grow up thinking I was a country girl. In fact, I prided myself being a city girl, but I would probably want to move to the middle of some state like Iowa where there's a farm and a ranch, and I just don't want to. It's just the peacefulness. Like, Iowa. Okay, so we have some friends that live in Tennessee, and honestly, Tennessee. There you go.
Tennessee.
I want to buy a ranch, like our friends Jeff and Curtis did, where you can look out, have like. No, I love Tennessee. That place. Like, they have this huge field, and they have a barn that has a hobby farm that has horses and everything. And then when you leave their house, they're only like 10 minutes away from downtown Nashville. Like, it's crazy how close they are to all of the happening things. So that way you have the best of both worlds. I could do that. Yep. I'm going to be your neighbors. You heard it here, folks.
Lynn will be in the nearest Tennessee near you guys. So, Tennessee, watch out. Lynn is coming to you.
Hey, I thought it was a we. You said we're taking the girls.
I'm not going to Tennessee. You can go to Tennessee. I am not going to.
You said if Tennessee. I have to leave.
I don't want to snow. I hate snow. I don't know if you know.
Where can you go that you don't get snow other than Houston?
California.
Nope, there's snow in California.
Actually, I know, but not Southern California.
Yeah, isn't that what you told you were talking to me about, like, Jonathan? He went to the beach one day and then drove 3 hours.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about California. He's literally Saturday beach, in the water, fun times. And then Sunday, 3 hours, Big Bend, in the snow, snowboarding.
Snowboarding.
I think that's just crazy. That's kind of unbelievable that that's even a possibility. But
To our peeps in California, we're coming to you.
Yeah, California, wave for dudes. I'm bringing. No, is that how they talk? No, dudes,
no.
Surfers.
I think he probably just got canceled by some of our friends up there.
Sorry, guys. Disclaimer at the end of the show, California. But yes, so that's a big part of that.
So you would do California?
I would go to California.
Okay, I could see that. I could push Tennessee to the side to do California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, if we're gonna be on the beach,
that might be a possibility. I don't know what's being shown on this TV behind me. I guess Paul is done talking or whatever.
Somebody in an aircraft. It looks like a crashed plane.
Something. Crashed
CNBC
plane.
marathon streaming.
CNBC.
Yay! There was a plug.
Our new sponsor, CNBC. Listen to, anyways. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Lending Labyrinth. I think the biggest thing is
I want to hear from other people where they would go. Yeah,
I mean, definitely comment below, guys. What do you look for as far as location? You know, is it location? What, like, I always said that when it comes to finding a home, and you only have so many options, it's always about a triangle. So there, you could put a want on each side of the triangle, whether it be location, size, and cost. But you can only have two of them that touch. So you can have location and cost, or you can have amenities and cost, but you can never have all three. All three, you're really sacrificing stuff. So if you had a triangle with three things you wanted on it, and just pick two of them, I think I tell a lot of buyers, hey, what's more important to you? Is it the cost or the payment? Is it the location? Is it the how you want the house to be? Because if you want the 5-bedroom with the pool, well, then the cost may not be the one that you get, is it discounted? That may not be a factor. Location and the other one may be. And so when you kind of break it down to them that way, I think it goes a long way. But information, that's what we're all about here at Next Mortgage Studios. Guys, just remember that if you have any information or if you have any questions about your mortgage or location or what we can do to get you into the location of your dreams, that's what we're here at Next Mortgage. Lynn and I, Mr. and Mrs. Next Mortgage, are here to help you with those pre-approvals, answer any questions you might have, because that's what the Lending Labyrinth's all about. It's all about navigating through the maze, but it's always easier to get to the end of the maze if you have a map. So that's why we're here for you guys. Ooh, if you got a map.
Mic drop.
We just got
That's a nice tagline.
Yeah, we got the map. We're the way to get you into a home loan. We are here for you guys. So if you need anything from us, remember, our contact information is below. We'd love to work with you guys. We'd love to kind of get you into a home or answer any mortgage questions you might have. But stay tuned next week. We'll have another guest on the Lending Labyrinth, and just stay tuned. Listen to us in your car.
If you want to be on the list, if you want to be a guest, let us know.
Yeah, I'd love to have guests on here. But like and subscribe. Tell your friends. And we will go from there. But guys, we look forward to talking to you soon, listening. Leave your comments below, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Lending Labyrinth. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.